Hey guys, back with powerlifter Fred Ashford. We're talking powerlifting, and I'm going to toss some things Fred's way, and we're just going to kind of do some little fun shenanigans here. I'm going to throw some things his way and just see if he can answer it in under 30 seconds. So, the concept. I'm going to start here, Fred, with the concept that knee wraps are dangerous for your squats.
Oh, it's stupid.
Stupid.
Is that less than 30 seconds?
Yeah, I think so. I timed that at 1.3.
No, I think the opposite. Knee wraps properly applied, where they aren't ratched down, where these concrete knee wraps that you can barely bend your knees. If you get a good wrap that fits your form that we talked about before, they protect your knees over a lifetime.
When I switched to knee wraps, the number of I used to get hamstring strains with every squat. After every squat session, I switched to knee wraps. Those hamstring strains went to zero. So right. I'm a big fan. So we're going to try to keep these short and snappy. So, all right, slingshot. These devices are becoming extremely popular. You talked earlier at the gym about Inzer and the how bench shirt started. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, the first bench shirt was just called that. It was before the blast shirt, the bench shirt. Gosh, I think it was 83. John Inzer, powerlifter, engineer by trade, created a shirt based on the design modifications that were allowable for the USPF and the IPF that made it a little bit tighter and protected the shoulders because guys, as they aged, were getting shoulder blowouts. It gave you about 20 to 25 pounds of pop, and it was so easy you could almost put it on yourself. And you didn't have to row the weight down. You could take a bar, 45-pound bar, and touch. But that's why it was created.
All right, next topic. All powerlifters are fat and they don't have any muscle because they don't train like bodybuilders.
Well, I'm going to take that personal, Steve. I'm sorry. Some of the most massive guys in the world are powerlifters. I like the old analogy, the sumo lifter to the bodybuilder. Or when you strip away all the fat, they pretty much have the same, or the sumo lifter has a little bit more muscle content. Fat and muscle size and muscle definition are independent of each other. You take someone, because of my structure and dynamics and hip width, I could never be a bodybuilder, but you strike them away. Stan Effering comes to mind. The guy's just massive. Ronnie Coleman, deadlifting over 810 pounds, so it's bulk.
Aesthetics are aesthetics, and that's one thing. The guys that rise to the cream of the crop of bodybuilding usually rise to the cream of the crop for a reason. But, every natural powerlifting meets, I go there, these guys have just as much muscle mass as natural bodybuilders. There's really no difference. The big difference is definition. I'm a walking example. I was 346 pounds last year. If you looked at me and said, that guy doesn't have any muscle, now I walk into the gym and I look almost like a bodybuilder. I'm still 250 pounds, but it's all definition. Definition, illusion. Any good topics you want to talk about, Fred?
Yeah, there's a lot of it out there. Number one, ego. Quite honestly, nobody gives a crap what you lift but you. Lift for you. Also, when you walk in a restaurant and you're big and strong, still nobody there gives a crap.
I got one for you. This is one I hear a lot of times from experienced bodybuilders. They go, strength doesn't matter. I don't train for strength. But when the average 18-year-old who weighs 148 pounds hears that, what do they think?
They just think what they said. Well, individual body parts look for size. I can get big without getting strong. I can be big and defined. And
now, how long have you been lifting?
30 years.
I've been lifting for almost 29 years. So we've been lifting combined almost 60 years, if you can count that high, kids. Have you ever met a big lifter who wasn't strong?
No.
I have not met a big lifter who wasn't strong. When these guys say this stuff, they just mean they don't train for 1 rep max strength. Usually the bodybuilder who says that goes in the gym and does 10 rep sets with 405 pounds. So, just put that nonsense out of your mind.
Yep, it's relative.
What do you think about the modern modern state of bodybuilding? Do you feel it's like it was back in Arnold's day? I mean, I know you're not a bodybuilder, but so many guys, so many of us just train for muscle. Is it more? Does it feel like it's more ego-driven, more egocentric these days?
Oh, absolutely. It's almost unrelatable. I mean, some of those guys I looked up to, and I still today, Arnold and Franco. It's the reason I started lifting. And I found powerlifting, but those are the reasons I started lifting. Mike Mincer was a guy I followed. I remember, I met Dorian Yates as a guest poser at an Albuquerque pro show, so I went to watch bodybuilding. And he was out of shape, 310, and still looked massive and big. But the egos and the characters, and it's almost a caricature of itself. These characters that they create on the internet and personify, and it's all over the top. That's not real life. That's not even them. They're there selling themselves and whatever product they sell and whatever stick they got.
Now here's a good topic. Back in the day, lifters seemed to be more individuals, and this tends to be something that you see more in powerlifting yet. But Arnold was an individual, Franco was an individual, Platz was an individual, Mentor was an individual. They had different strengths and weaknesses and different ways of training and philosophy. And these days, it seems like in the bodybuilding world, it's hard to tell one guy from another. What do you think happened to that individualism? Why do you think that? Is it just me, or is that reality?
No, I think it's the appetite of the consumer when you think about it. Performance-enhancing drugs had a lot to do that. Now, those guys were on it too, but the appetite of the consumer where aesthetics became less important and the shows became less important than some of these monstrosities you see. So everybody's kind of morphed into, I mean, I remember back when I was 21 and you'd look through the magazines and you could see the difference between Ferrigno and Schwarzenegger and Dave Draper. And then when Tom Platz come along, the differences were striking. And you look today and you go, these are the same people, different cans,
different heads. Yeah. It's like, to me, it's always been like blowing up a balloon. The balloon used to be this big, and there were some differences. But now the balloon's expanded so far, physiologically, that everybody kind of looks the same. That's right. Kind of the way I equate it. Now, here's a question. Which sport do you think, if one were to die before the other, which sport do you think would die first, powerlifting or bodybuilding?
Oh, bodybuilding.
That's what I think.
Yeah, I think bodybuilding, because here's the powerlifting isn't going to die. Organizations may come and go, but we're still going to have hey, Steve, I think I can out deadlift you now. I can out bench press you now. I can out squat you now in the backyard contest.
Right.
You're not going to have two guys sitting there and go, I think I can out double bicep you, and let's get some judges together and,
Now, for anybody that thinks we're absolutely crazy, we're not talking about the pursuit of building muscle. But if you look at the trends, they almost canned female bodybuilding at the Olympia. I thought they were, but it was back this year. Men's physique has been introduced. Bikini has been introduced. And there's been a lot of backlash in the industry about these types of things. But really, they're just kind of new names returning to a more classic style of physique. So in my opinion, bodybuilding on the big scale will eventually get replaced by potentially something a little bit more reasonable for the average guy.
Yep.
So Fred, what's the craziest thing you've ever seen in the gym?
The craziest thing I ever seen in the gym.
One of them was today, I'll tell you that right now.
Oh yeah, that was freaking nuts. But when I think of crazy, I think of folks doing idiotic things. Is I seen a gentleman, and I've seen this done in the Smith machine, but I seen a gentleman doing leg presses where he was lying on his back and he had an Olympic bar on his feet and he was trying to press the weight up, and eventually the weight just rolled off of him. It was the stupidest thing I ever seen.
One of the silliest things I've ever seen in the gym had to do with rotator cuff work. Now, rotator cuff work, I mean, The rotator cuff is probably an area you don't want to beat up or brutalize. And this person was doing rotator cuff work while standing on one of those instability balls. And you just had to see it to believe it. It makes absolutely no sense at all. Let's talk about obsessive compulsive disorder. You know, guys getting into lifting these days, they believe they have to do everything exactly at this time, exactly at that time, count their macronutrients, count their protein, do this, that. I mean, we're obviously power lifters, but we've been around the block. For the average guy, Fred, who's never going to be a bodybuilder, how obsessive compulsive do they have to be about eating?
I would say less than none. They have to have general knowledge of what they're putting into their body, and you don't have to be a bro scientist to understand that. And
so you're saying they don't have to eat 7 to 8 meals a day out of Tupperware containers?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I mean, there's always some bro around there that can prove it. It's science, I swear to God, and don't back it up.
My advice has always been, you know, if you're worried about getting fat, eat better food choices. I mean, this is a no-brainer, okay? We're a couple bigger guys. We both compete. I competed at 346. I'm not sure the heaviest Fred competed here, but you don't have to be like us. I ate more because it gave me more strength. That was my decision. But when I came to a point in my life where I didn't want to be bigger anymore, I simply ate better. So if you're a younger lifter and you want to build muscle and not get, you know, as fat, eat better food choices.
Right. And to your point about obsessive compulsive, if you're not going to be a top-tiered bodybuilder, which you're probably not watching this if you are, your choices for bodybuilding, powerlifting, whether you want to do CrossFit, God bless you, or what it is you want to do, it's a segment of your life that should be an activity, and it shouldn't take over your life. You should have fun. As soon as we turn this video off, we're going to... I hope Buffalo Wings, because I want to down some beers as well.
Absolutely.
And enjoy ourselves and have fun. And if you can't enjoy yourself with the activity you're doing and it's become so restrictive, it's not going to have a lot of longevity in your life.
Yeah, exactly. That's one of the things I like about powerlifting. You know, lifting is a part of my life. It's not my entire life. I mean, I make a career, I make a living out of lifting, but it's not something I want to control. I don't want to be taking Tupperware containers to Thanksgiving. I don't want to be counting the beers I take when I go out, you know, drink when I go out with Fred Ashford. You know, I have confidence in myself that if I gain 2 extra pounds, that I can pull it back for a week or whatever. It's just not something I'm interested in doing. So, hey, you know, if you're interested in lifting, in getting stronger, in building muscle, and you don't want to go down that obsessive compulsive road, just know that it's okay, and you can join us on the dark side.
Definitely. See you there.
All right, guys, thanks for watching. And if you have any questions or comments for us, guys, you can just leave them in the video. I'll link a Q&A below. That's over on my site, massiveiron.com. You can post your questions. And if you have any questions specifically for Fred, I'll pass them along. So, guys, thanks for watching. Have a great day.